You are never too small to advertise your businesses. Come through to Lumen TV Zambia or contact our marketing department on 0974 71 60 20 or 0977 30 07 74. See you there.
Welcome back to our program, dear lovely viewers. Today we are going to have an amazing woman who is going to share with us the joy she found amidst trials. I'm your presenter, Judith Angolwe-Sembanga, and I'm supposed to be with my co-host, Evelyn Tembo, who is currently committed and due to circumstances beyond her control is unable to be with us today. However, she will join us next week. We welcome you. It's an honor to have you here.
Thank you very much.
And then, kindly introduce yourself to our viewers.
Right. I'm Mary Slavomlenga, a mother of 5, 4 boys and 1 girl. I won't tell you my age, but just know that I'm slightly older than Zambia.
You needed to tell us.
Yes, born and bred Catholic.
Okay.
I'm a catechizer, and currently, I won't go into the history of my job, but currently I'm running a school, a pre-primary school in Makeni Oriental area. A school that is named after my late husband, or maybe then I should say I'm widowed.
Okay.
Yes. I'm an author. Yes, I think I should say that. I'm author of a book called Destined, which I think has been received very well. It's the story of my life.
Oh, wow.
But I think that's a story for another day.
Ah.
Yes, I don't know what else you want to know about me.
Okay. When you say you are Mrs. Mary Slavomlenga, I'm sure the viewers are curious to know, who is this Mrs. Mary Slavomlenga? What are you made of? What do you do? I mean, the school background.
Okay, right.
Yes.
I was privileged to, after my Form 5 in those days, that's why I said I'm slightly older than Zambia. My Form 5, went to national service. I always say that I think they should bring that back because it actually taught us a lot of discipline in the military training.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Yes, yes. Went to University of Zambia, 1981 to 85, after completing my Form 5 in 1980.
Okay.
And then, I did my first degree, graduated in 1985, worked for 2 years in the Ministry of Agriculture, and in our days, scholarships were waiting for us, unlike these days where you really have to struggle.
Yes.
So I had the privilege of getting a scholarship, NORAD scholarship, to go and do my master's degree, 1988, 89. And I came back and continued working for the Ministry of Agriculture, worked for the Swedish Embassy. And I think after that, I started doing my own consultancy work as an agriculture economist. I think when I have an opportunity to come and talk about my book, that's where it is all spilled, because I even did cross-border trading at some point, and people were wondering what had happened to my master's degree if I could do cross-border trading. But I think God has gifted us with a lot of things, and I think we need to utilize, everything. We should not just be glued to, to one thing.
Indeed.
Like I said earlier, my husband and I started building a school, I think 2018, 2019, but he passed on in 2020. But God, opened doors in terms of, resources to be able to complete, that school. So we do have a pre-primary school named after him. It's called the Leonard Chileshi Mlenga Memorial School. And currently that is what is keeping me busy as the CEO.
Wow.
But hopefully I can hand it over sometime soon to somebody else so that I can get a bit of rest.
Are you able to tell us at a period of how you encountered God? How did you meet God? What really transpired? What happened?
I've always wanted to, to share this story. I think in my private life, I have shared it to a few people, and everyone has been like, wow. As a Christian, as a Catholic Christian, you take it for granted that meeting God should be an everyday encounter through our prayers, and in the Catholic Church, the beauty of having Mass, where we even have the opportunity to receive, Jesus in the Eucharist.
Yeah.
So you would think that, those experiences are actually an aspect of, meeting God. But I think this particular experience is different. And maybe in life we encounter, especially in married life, I'm sure the viewers out there who are married will agree with me that, marriage is not a straight line, everything is cozy and rosy. Yes, at the beginning it's like that, but I think those that have done marriage counseling and having had the opportunity of, just talking to marriage counselors, it's amazing how they go through what they call the marriage curve. And that I think from about the 7th year to perhaps maybe 5 to 10 years, is what they call the itch in a marriage, where things just sort of start going wrong. And it depends on your experiences, but I think for me, in my marriage curve, and when you talk about, courtship, having children, the marriage is peaking.
Yes.
And then I think you kind of start going down. I'm told from the counselors that, when you start having children, the attention is shifted, to the children, your work. So there are all those challenges. And then you find that maybe, your spouse, starts, doing things that are not really, acceptable. So it was probably at that stage in my married life that, going through these challenges, that I sought a lot of, prayer, guided by, my priests,
Yes.
Spiritual direction. It was really, I would put it to maybe 10 years of just trying to seek God prayers and to just see how to deal with that situation. So I've gone to, Charleston Parish. I'm kind of just feeling really, low, because I felt that, I'm not getting the attention that I need to be getting from my spouse. And I've just discovered that, there are, children, outside marriage that are involved. And you're like, oh my God, so what am I going to do about it? So instead of, I'm really happy that, and maybe it's because maybe of age, I did not go the sort of harassing, insulting way, where you start now to differ, that it starts to break you apart. I sought prayer. I said, I think what I'm going through can be overcome through prayer. I'm a Christian, so what do I do? So I sought the intervention of, a priest. There are those charismatic priests who really, take you through deliverance, through healing. People don't think that the Catholic Church, there's deliverance and healing, but we do have some priests who are gifted with this. So I went to Charleston Parish. At the time, we had 2 priests, Father Pupa and Father Gideon, who were there. And I think through the prayers that, would go there to participate, I found that, okay, maybe I can talk to this particular priest about my experiences. You just want help from wherever. So I remember going to him. He was already with somebody in the office. So I get to the office, and this anxiety of, you just need to talk to somebody, and he's taking long. Who is this person in the office? So when I finally got to see him, and he looked at me and he said, sit down. And I'm like, Father, I said, sit down. Then I remember I had a picture of, the children. So I'm like, Father, I discovered this. Women, we like to go through phones. It's not a good thing, but sometimes when you are going through a situation, you just do even stupid things, what I would call stupid things. So then he looks at me and he looks at the picture and he says, oh, and then I said, these are the children. And he says, what children? And he says, I said, my husband's children. I said, yes, so? And I said, I want you to pray with me because I really don't know what to do. And he looks at me and he says, Mlenga, we have talked, in the past about, things about your prayer life. You have been talking to God all the time. It's you all the time talking to God. Whether you're praying the rosary or what. Can you for once change your strategy? Listen to God.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So listening to God, what does that mean? And even said, go in that adoration chapel. And I think, the viewers will agree, Cheston Parish, I think it was one of the parishes that had a beautiful adoration chapel. Go in that adoration chapel and just sit. Listen to God. God is going to speak to you. I looked at him and I'm like, look, I came to you. I want you to pray for me. And now you're telling me I should go to the adoration chapel and listen to God. I was upset. And I think it's normal for someone who is seeking help, because I'm feeling, I came to Father and I know, the gift that he has. And he sends me to the adoration chapel. Go and listen to God, because it is too much of you talking to him. Can you go and listen to him for once? Sheepishly, I come out. I think Father Gideon today, Naga trip. So I go into the adoration chapel. I sit there. And, he told me, you have to go into the adoration chapel. Look for 1 hour. Whatever hour that you want. Whether you're going to go now or you're going to come back. But choose 1 hour and do it for 3 days. Because I want you to sit in the presence of God, to listen to him for 3 days. That was a tough one for me.
It must have been.
For 3 days. After that, come back to me and tell me what God will have said to you in those 3 days. Just 1 hour, not more than that, not less, because I think 1 hour is enough. In the adoration chapel, the Blessed Sacrament is exposed. So I went there, and it was just before midday, 12. And I said, since I'm here, I might as well start today. So I went there just before 12. I sat down, and I've been told not to talk, not to pray, not to say anything. Just listen. God is going to talk to you. So I'm sitting there, 15 minutes after 12, and I'm like, you know what, God? I'm here to listen to you. If you don't want to talk to me, I'm going to get out of here. Oh, I was told 1 hour. Shut up. 12:30, still nothing. And I'm like, you don't want to talk to me, God? I'm giving you 15 minutes to be out of here.
Oh, wow.
And just the stroke of 11:45, because I'm busy looking at my watch. Okay, I'm really trying hard not to say anything. 1:45. I don't know if I'm going to call it a vision, a trance, whatever it is. But I'm sitting there, and my husband is talking to me, and he's saying, I don't know what to do. I'm like, what do you mean? Maybe you know what. I kind of came round, and I rushed out of the adoration chapel, straight to Father in the office, and I said, Father, I've run away from God. He looked at me and he said, I'm not going to ask you what God has said to you or what it is that you have experienced. I told you 3 days. Then you can come back to me. So I went. The following day, remember, I've been told 3 days.
Yes.
Day 2, 12 to 13 hours. So I picked that time, 12 to 13 hours. Drove, Cheston Parish, parked my car, went into the adoration chapel. This time I'm not even going to see Father. He has given me a directive. So I just go in there, just before 12. I sit down. Remember, you are not praying, you are not doing anything.
Just sitting.
Sit, listen. I go there, kind of the same pattern. I'm looking nervously at my watch. 1:15. I start fidgeting. 20 past. I said, God, I've been here for 20 minutes and you don't want to talk to me? You did the same thing yesterday. 20 minutes, I'm going to be out of here if you don't want to talk to me. And then I behave myself. I've been told, listen, you don't have to talk. 1:30, 1:45. Same pattern. Call it a vision, a trance. This time, my husband is holding a child. I'm also holding a child. And he's rushing. He's like, dear me, let's go. These children have to be baptized. And I'm like, no, you want these children to be baptized. What are we going to say? Or who are we going to say is the mother? At that point, I come round. And I'm not sure what has just happened. So I walk out. I'm not going to see father. Straight into my car. Day 2. Day 3. I've relaxed now because I know the pattern and have been told it's 3 days. And I'm like, thank God it's the 3rd day. I go back. A few minutes before 12, I enter the chapel, adoration chapel. I sit down. This time because I'm now a user, I said, I think God in my setting I am. So I sit down and I behave myself, I think, for like 20, 25 minutes. Nothing is happening. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be out of here if you're not talking to me. But I know how we've done it in these last few days. If you're the one coming and give me all this, well, we'll see how it goes. And I don't know why. It was always like the 1:45 thing where I just get this thing. Now, this particular 3rd one, it's like I'm watching a movie where I'm assuming in my head, it's my husband that is stretching out his arm to sort of hold me, to come, to step. And it's looking like it's a celebration or something. And it's gone. So the 3 days have passed. And I've got these 3 sort of revelations. Ask me what I did. I went back the 4th day. I said, we'll see if this God is talking to me for real. And I went there day 4. I didn't even tell father that I've gone there for day 4.
Okay, you extended.
I extended. Yeah, I extended.
Okay.
And I'm sitting there, so I'm behaving myself because I'm thinking to myself, I'm doing a good thing. 1:15, 1:30, 1:45, 13 hours, nothing. I said, okay, I'm out. So you just wanted the 3 days. So yes, I did. I was naughty. I went back the 4th day, but nothing happened. Now, putting a date to the time that I went to this adoration chapel, it must have been in 2017.
Okay.
Because in 2018, and it probably could have been even some 6 months, February of 2018, the mother to those children passes on. And I remember, because I want to thank God that, when you are praying, your burdens are lightened, because under normal circumstances, it would have been a source of fights and what. But because I was probably in prayer and being helped by my spiritual directors, it was something that I could contain with a lot of pain. Let me not lie. With a lot of pain. So now, 2018 February, this woman has died. And I'm the first one to receive the message from somebody. I don't know why. And they said, this woman has died. And I'm like, and I remember it was a Saturday because we were cleaning at church as a small Christian community.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, I'm going to observe and see how my husband is going to react. He didn't know anything. It was me who was communicated to. And so he's driving out, and I'm like, do you know that this lady has passed on? Is what? So I mentioned the name, and it's like, no. I said, well, she has died. And before people start coming to our house that you have a funeral, you better clear it, And he's like, look, this thing has been cleared. Yes, the children are there, but I don't think there's anything like that. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm not part of this thing. Then I'm like, no, but there are children involved. You need to sponsor it. I don't think they're going to have the money. I'm telling this because I need to connect to those visions or whatever experiences
that you had.
That I had.
Okay.
So the funeral has happened. They have buried. My husband is nowhere near the scene because he has said, I'm not part of this thing. And then I had allowed my brother-in-law, in fact, 2 of them, I said, they came from the Kwabot, I said, there are children there. This man has said, I'm not going to go there. Then they've gone there, they have buried, and people are asking, so what is going to happen to the children? The evening of the burial, my brother-in-law says, Mayo, Mlamu, if you don't take this thing up, this man is confused, not going to do anything about it. Why don't you do something about it and help him how you are going to deal with the children? I went back to the first vision. Wana Mwamba, my firstborn is Mwamba. I don't know what to do with these children. Maybe mwe na muishiva. So I remember going into the bedroom and I said, the children, what are we going to do about the children? And he says, I don't know. Maybe na muishiva. So God had already revealed something, had already spoken to me what would come to pass almost a year down the line about those children. And then I remember just saying to him, the children had 2 parents. One parent is gone. You are the other parent. I think they have to come here. He looked at me and he said, I don't know what to say.
You actually requested for the children to come and live in your home?
Yes. Because God had spoken to me, had already revealed it to me. So it's like when he asked me, I don't know, in that vision, I don't know what to do with these children. And I responded, so who do you think is going to do something about it? When it now had actually happened, it was the same thing. I don't know what to do. So it's like it's me now who was providing the solution. They had 2 parents. One parent has gone and they're remaining. They are going to come here. So you see the connection. It was already...
it was already destined to happen. But how easy was it, Mom? Like, how easy was it for you to, when you heard that your husband is cheating and there are actually children involved? You know, it's not an every day to day that you hear couples that are married and a wife tends to find out, finds out their children involved. Not many will do what you decided to take up.
Exactly. And I love it because this is a Christian, TV program, and Zambia is in the constitution, is a Christian nation, and many of us, I want to believe the majority of Zambians are Christians. What does it mean to be a Christian, a follower of Christ? If Christ suffered for the salvation of this world, and we purport to be Christians, I think we have to sacrifice. I think we have to humble ourselves. I think we have to be Christ-like. So I want to believe that what I did, and especially that it had been revealed, that what I did was simply living my faith. And it came very easily, Judith. Believe you me, I did not struggle with it because I want to believe that God had already prepared me for it. Because he had already spoken to me. He had already revealed himself to me. And I remember saying it to him, sitting on the bed. They had 2 parents. One parent has gone. You are the other parent. They are coming here. And he looked at me and he said, what about you? I don't know. And I said, it's got nothing to do with me. So for me, I want to believe that God actually spoke to me. I met God on that first day in the Adoration Chapel, and he revealed himself because it came to pass what actually was spoken to me. And not so long, and I remember when we went, it was, I think, maybe a couple of days, maybe 3-4 days passed. The funeral is gone. They've discussed. And I kept saying, when am I going to see them? And he couldn't understand why I was pestering him.
Okay.
Yes. When am I going to see him? I went into prayer and I said, God, let me not pretend. Give me the strength and the courage to be able to meet with these children genuinely. I do not want to pretend. I went back to the scripture of Romans 8:28.
Yes.
We know that in all things, not in some things, in all things, God works out good for those that love him and are called according to his purpose. I stood on that scripture. And I remember that evening, and he was actually very nervous. We drove where they were, and I said, God, please, just make me hold myself together. We got into the house, and because I'm conscious of what is happening, I looked at the time of what time I stepped into the house. And we got in, we found the people, because people from the funeral had not dispersed. There were about 3 people that were in the living room.
Yes.
With the 2 little boys. I was meeting them for the first time. We sat on the couch. They ran to their dad, got his phone, playing. And then maybe within some 5 minutes, one of them, the older one, says, who are you? Yes. And I'm like, ask Dad. Dad, who is she? Ask her. Turns back to me. Who are you? I said, I'm Mom. And the older one looks at the people sitting around there, looks back at me and says, oh, so it's true that we are going to have a new mom and a new home. At that moment, I looked at my watch. It was 10 minutes after entering the house. They were already calling me Mom. Wow. It can only be when you have met God and God has spoken to you that things of this nature can actually happen. There were witnesses around there. And the whole scene changes. You know what, Mom? They were calling me Mom 10 minutes after entering the house. I can do press-ups. I'm like, okay. Let's see if you can do press-ups. The older one was only 6.5. He's 13, almost 13. So press-ups, I can do 20 press-ups. I said, you're lying. The younger one, Mom, I can also do press-ups. Not, even you, 4.5, you can do this press-up. Yes, I can. Press-ups. Now the whole scene is now, everyone is now focused on us, where it's just mother and these 2 boys within a short space of time. Then I'm like, so what grade are you doing? Oh, I'm in grade 2, the older one. And you haven't yet taken me to school. I said, you know what? When you come home, I'm going to take you to school. Oh my God. The child was over the moon.
Right away.
I'm going, Mom.
Okay.
It was, and so the following week was Holy Week. I said in my introduction, I'm a catechizer. And at Easter, we do infant baptism preparation. So we had already started preparations for infant baptism. We now have a new curriculum for infant baptism. It's now 8 weeks. But before, it was 3 lessons. And we had already done 2 lessons. And we had already submitted the names and the forms to Father. So somehow, I said to myself, these children are going to be baptized. So I said, yeah, I am going to be the parent and I'm a catechizer. So it's not like I've missed lessons because I'm the one with my other catechizers who are conducting the lessons. So I went to the priest, the cathedral administrator at the time. I asked for a form. And I remember filling in the names of the children, father's name, and then when it came to mother's name, I hesitated. I went back to the second vision where my husband and I had these children, and he's rushing to say, let's go and have the children baptized. And I'm like, no, Mbapa, where it says mother's name. Who are we going to say is the mother? Believe you me, I took a moment and I wrote my name there. Mary Mlenga. When I filled in everything for parents, I handed the form back to Father. And Father looked at the details and he's saying, but these are your details with your husband. I said, yes. But these children, and I remember telling him, Father, when God has given you a task and has given you children, you don't question. And I remember Father saying, I won't be political. And he signed the form.
Just like that.
Just like that. I picked the little boys on a... No, I didn't actually go to pick. On Tuesday, the girl who was looking after them called me, because I'd said I would go there on Wednesday. So the girl called me and said, what time are you coming tomorrow to pick them up? I said, I'm actually very busy at our church. This is Holy Week, and because we're doing preparations for baptism and all this. And I said, maybe I'll come there first thing in the morning on Thursday, which was Holy Thursday. He said, Alabali longa kale. They already packed. They said, Mom said she will come and pick us up.
And they're ready to come.
They are ready to leave their home, to come to a new home within 1 week. Yes.
Wow.
To a new home.
Okay.
I didn't make it because we had, Holy Thursday, we had to prepare. And I asked my husband to go and pick them up. Holy Thursday Mass takes long.
Yes.
And I was going home after 23 hours. How I found them waiting. Immediately I got into the house. They came running. We were waiting for you, Mom. We said we will not sleep until we see Mom.
Wow.
It can only be if God has spoken to you, if you have met God, that things can just be flowing like that. They were baptized at Easter, a few days after coming into house. And I think for me that was beautiful. I saw it as going into the tomb and rising at the other end, a new being. Because I think the resurrection is the basis of our Christianity, and I just felt I had actually met God in that experience. The third vision that I talked about did not come to pass. I lost my husband in 2020. The boys were with me for 2.5 years before their father died.
Oh, my deepest sympathies. Must have been hard.
And when God is in a situation, Judith, things just follow. Things just flow. There is order, because I think our God is a God of order. I remember it was a sudden death, and none of us were prepared for it. And so the day before the burial, somebody came to me and said, tomorrow is the burial. Your boys know there's a funeral, people are crying and everything like this, although they were staying with their brother.
Yes.
There's going to be body viewing tomorrow. Have you prepared them for tomorrow? Why? I don't know what you're going to tell them, that their father is dead, but you have to find a way. So you are talking to an 8 and a 6-year-old, telling them, because that morning on a Sunday, it was a Sunday, they had breakfast with their dad, and then in the evening, people are gathering for a funeral. So what has happened? So how do you tell such young children? And so I remember taking them into the bedroom, and I'm like, remember, that day on a Sunday when you had breakfast with Dad, and we were even planning that, we'll go to Mbala, we'll drive to Mbala,
yes.
We'll take you. Actually he went to work, which is true, he did go to work. He felt unwell, and, he just collapsed, because I thought that's the language they would understand. And he passed on. So, you have to be strong. You can cry, you're allowed to cry, but you have to be strong. And the older one just says, we understand, Ma'am. Actually, you should be the one to be strong, because it's okay. At least for us, we have you.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh, okay. They're fine. It's me who has the problem and the issue, because
apparently
they don't have a problem.
Don't.
They still have a mother. The father may have gone, but they still have a mother.
Wow.
It's only when God is in your situation, if you have met God, that you can have that kind of, I don't know whether you want to call it order or things just happening like that. I did meet God, and God did speak to me, and God prepared me for something which would have been very difficult. to handle if God had not spoken to me, if I had not met God in that adoration chapel, having been helped by Father Gideon to say, "Mwachilamo ulalanda kulisa, no, God help me here, God what?" Can you for once go and listen to him?
God.
Let him speak to you. Have an encounter with God and hear what he says. Of course, afterwards, I did share. And he just said, "You don't even have to share it with me. I just wanted you to have that experience, that encounter." And months down the line, I actually experienced that. Because I had been put in that frame of mind spiritually, I think even physically, it wasn't an issue.
Wow.
It was not an issue.
Wow. I must say, first of all, I think you are blessed. And I think God usually chooses his own. Looking at your story, thank you so much for sharing with us. What I would love to ask is, in this kind, we hear a lot about this kind of stories in Zambia, out of Zambia, even within our confines of parishes, homes, and even those that are not even Christian homes, with how you dealt with an outsider coming into your home with children is all sorts of amazing. What impact has it had on your life?
Thank you. I would say that because of the gesture that I did, of course, you cannot quantify the blessings that come with doing what I did. I think it's in Luke 1:37, when Mary had an encounter, Mary, the mother of Jesus, had an encounter with the angel. And what 37, I think, says, "There's nothing impossible, God." Let us not underestimate the power of God. What God can actually do in our lives. And if you think bringing those boys into my life is something, listen to this. So I've taken the boys into, my custody. My husband has passed on. And I remember there was some situation that we had. Where you don't have the documents, for the children. So it meant going back, to the family to try and ask for this document and that document. And because there was and I think when they heard that I'd taken the children, it also kind of softened, them. Especially, they came to the funeral of, my husband, and they didn't know what to do. Did she just do this because the father was there? Now that their father is gone, is she still going to be committed to having, these children? And I said to them, if you heard me, not me, but the one who read my speech, it said, survived by a wife and 5 children. 5, not 3, 5. So they are my children. And they said, thank you very much. Actually, the reason why we came here was we thought that if there's a problem, we just go with them. That is how they left. And their maternal grandmother said, these are your children. But because I carried the woman that bore these boys, I'm only asking for one thing. Only if you want to do it. But from time to time, I can see them just to see how they've grown. And I remember 2.5 years after my husband died, I just said, I think it's time to take them in the southern province. So I brought some groceries. I called one of the daughters whom I'd been communicating over the documents. I said, don't tell her. I want to surprise her. I told the boys, do you remember going to, this town, when your mother said, the older one's like, yeah, I think so. I said, do you remember your grandmother? I said, yeah, I think so. I said, okay, we are going to see her. We just want to see how she is. The older one was like, oh, okay, it will be exciting. The younger one says, no, I don't want to go there. I don't know if in his mind whether he thought I was going to leave them. Hey, I've found a mother here. There's no way that you're going to take away from me. So we drove. We only called when we were near. We said, oh, where are you? She says, oh, I'm in the field. I said, we're coming home. She says, what do you mean? I said, well, we are near. We are, I think, like maybe 20 minutes away. She says, are you mad? I said, no, I'm not mad. So I drove the boys, take them to their maternal grandmother, because I just felt that whatever circumstances happen in our lives, it would be very selfish for us to deny certain things. They have a family on that other side. Even if I want to perform and do whatever, it does not help. If I already met God, God already spoke to me, and things happen. I saw them. So why should I feel that God will not come through for me in this situation? With all the groceries that were packed, and for some reason she had told the neighbors that my daughter is coming.
Wow.
My daughter is coming. So she meets at a police post, and we drive with her. Now the people know who her children are. So they see this woman driving, and they're like, none of your children have cars. Which daughter is this? So she tries to explain to them. And their jaws are literally dropping, and they're like,
Amen.
what? She has come. We are taking out the groceries and everything else. And we were there for maybe 1 hour, because the little one kept on saying, can we go back home, Mom? I don't want to be here. I'm like, you, we've got to visit. When God is in a situation, everything is orderly, because He's a God of order. I met God. God straightened everything for me. The most important thing, I think, is to be conscious in terms of how is God speaking to us? In what circumstances is God speaking to us? But I think most of the time, we dwell so much on the negative things and even asking God, but why did you allow this? Why did you allow this? But when we allow, like Father Gideon said, allow God to speak to you. Have an encounter with God. And I think because I got that little discipline in a very difficult situation. I told you how I struggled to just even sit in that adoration chapel and listen. But because I did, I think I invited the Spirit of God to touch me, to put me in a certain disposition for what was actually going to happen. And I have no regret.
Wow. Indeed. Well, viewers, that can only happen if and only you have met God. Thank you for sharing your story. I know in the preamble you mentioned to say you have a book that is out there. And as we are coming to a close, would love you to look into your camera and I'd encourage a woman that's married and might be they might be facing the same exact situation. What would be your encouraging remarks, Ma'am Lenga?
I'm sure the story itself might seem like, oh my God, Mrs. Mlenga, you must be out of your mind. At the beginning, I said we are Christians. And if we are Christians, we have to be Christ-like. What does it mean to be Christ-like? To emulate His suffering and to allow God to be in our situation. Because like I said, there is nothing impossible with God. I also quoted the scripture saying, God works out good. In any situation, we know that He works out good. So it might be a situation where in our human nature, we are thinking, this is not possible. Mrs. Mlengami, I can't do it. You can. Do not underestimate the power of God. About the book, I think something that also helped me in my mourning and healing is that I wrote a book called Destined. Because I think we are all destined. And I keep saying, whoever I give this book, and I really want to give you this book, because Judy, you are destined for great things.
Oh, thank you.
Enjoy reading Destined.
Wow.
There are a lot
I
of
hope
lessons.
the camera can catch this.
It's the story of my life. It's my autobiography.
Mm-hmm.
A bit of what I've told you is in the book.
Okay.
And there are takeaway home points in terms of how I dealt with some challenging situations in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you're married or not, but it doesn't matter. Whichever way, please read that book. And to the viewers, I launched this book on the first anniversary of my husband. I had no script. I had no, what do they call the manuscript?
Yes.
I just had a title. And after being helped by my now publishers, after attending 2 book launches, I realized that I could actually write a book. I only had a title.
Wow.
And it has helped me. It has actually also helped other people. It's a very short book. The shortest that somebody has read this book is 2 hours. Because when you start reading it, and I'm not bragging,
you won't stop.
You won't stop. Somebody said, Mrs. Mlenga, you should talk to MultiChoice so that they can do a movie. And I'm like, oh.
Literally.
And there's somebody who's already saying they want to be Mary in that book.
And you know, like after hearing your story, like I alluded to earlier, to say, these are real life situations that are happening. You find married women that tend to find out that their men or husbands are sourcing out there and having children, but they wouldn't do what you've done. You're one of the few, you're one of the kind. And I must say,
thank you.
Thank you so much for coming to elaborate your story. Viewers, please do get your hands on this book called Destined by Mary Silavwe Molenga, our very own guest that was here with us today. Mom, Mrs. Molenga, thank you so much.
Can I just say something?
Yes, please. You may.
I will bring maybe 10 copies, not for the people that work for Lumen, maybe 20 copies, for those that will be able to call in for a free copy.
Okay.
I stopped selling them when I got, I guess maybe I was spoken to God even at that point, that I should be giving this book free.
Okay.
And so I started giving the book free in Women's Month, March of last year.
Okay.
It's just for free. Before it used to be sold for 120 kwacha.
Nice.
But now it's free. So the copy that I'll give, whoever phones in quickly, they can get that book.
Amazing.
I'll make sure that I bring
Amazing. So thank you. So this is what we're going to do, viewers. Kindly go and comment on our Facebook page. The first ones to comment, the first 10.
Yes.
People to comment on our Facebook page, please do come through to Lumen and get your copy. Come through to Lumen TV Zambia Studios and come and have your copy. I have mine. Okay. Thank you so much, Mrs. Mlenga, for coming through. Our viewers, as we come to our conclusion, Lumen TV Zambia is now in all the 10 provinces of Zambia. Catch us on our media handles, which are YouTube, our very own channel on Topstar, and Facebook and TikTok. Please, and our various other handles like the websites and many others. Kindly do stay glued to another thrilling episode. I have been your host, Judith Angolusi on I Met God. We met God. Have you? Thank you. Bye-bye.